Hello and welcome to Courageous Conversations.
We're here to talk honestly about race, faith, and what it really means to love our neighbor at all costs.
Each and every episode, we are going to sit down with friends and leaders from across Kansas City to share stories. We're going to ask hard questions and we'll laugh a little bit along the way.
To unite people, unite neighborhoods, and eventually unite KC. Let's jump into today's conversation.
Well, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are, and welcome to another episode of our podcast called Courageous Conversations. I'm here with my co-host, Gary Kendall, and so, Gary, I'll let you get us kicked off and started, and you can even introduce our guest today.
Glad to do that. So if you're joining, thank you for joining. I want to ask you if you would be willing to like, to subscribe, to share, so that other people can be a part of the Courageous Conversations podcast. Our hope in this is that when we have courageous conversations about things that are important to us as individuals or as a culture or a city, that you'll take it further. We can be like the rock in the pond that makes the first splash, but we hope that you're the next, and it goes on from there. So thank you for joining and for doing your part. I'm glad to introduce Lexi Lang to you today. Lexi's been a friend for years, and I admire the work that you do, Lexi. So if you haven't met Lexi yet, so Lexi is a mother, a wife, a church planter, founded Engaged Church, and then is a missiologist. You're an author, that you also lead at church planting for your denomination, the Wesleyan Covenant. No, not Wesleyan, Covenant. Evangelical Covenant Church.
Right?
We joked about this before because I get it wrong most of the time.
Okay.
I really do know you, Lexi.
Sure, I believe it.
And I'm actually a big fan of what you do. You also work with Exponential a lot. And I'm just grateful to have you in the city, to be honest. And if I was to rank things, that wouldn't be fair. But one of my favorite things in the middle of all these good things is that you're a part of our leadership team at Unite KC.
Yes.
You show up every week, and we work together on things that affect our city and human flourishing and culture, and you're very involved. Thank you. And it's really a privilege to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Grateful to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, we always start off by either having you tell a joke or you can tell us about your family. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about the joke.
I just told you one. Remember?
Not to tell that joke. Yeah, I have a wonderful family. So husband Nathan, and we've been married for 18 years now. And we have 3 teenagers at home officially. My baby turned 13 in January, so Nora. And then I have Felicity. She's our softball player. She's a junior diamond, if you're familiar with Kansas City's pro softball team. And then I have Aiden, he's in the upcoming performance of Newsies at Maranatha Christian Academy. So I'm pretty proud of all 4 of those.
You should be. Yeah.
And so earlier today, I called Aiden Nathan Jr. So, and I just knew that was his name. And then when she said, it's Aiden, and I'm like, I know that. 'Cause he's also a chess savant. So he's really good,
Take your word for it.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He beats adults and all kinds of stuff. So, well, again, welcome. And Gary always starts out our questioning. And so we want you to take this as like an inquisition. And it's going to be really hard questions and, pass, fail kind of stuff.
Ready.
Lexi, you've been doing this for some time, but I had not been a part of it until probably 6 months ago when we did the Dividing Lines tour. And you helped to give leadership to that tour. And in that tour, it exposed me to things about our city's past that I was unaware of. And we actually physically went to different places in our city. And it was one of the most impactful things I've done in years. And I'm really grateful to you that was a part of your vision and you helped to lead it. So I wondered today if we could kind of make that the center point of our conversation, and we can branch out from there, of course. But I would really love for every leader in the city to go to the Dividing Lines tour.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, the first time I attended a Dividing Lines tour, Ray was hosting it, and my husband Nathan and I hopped on the bus and decided to take the journey. And as we're driving along, we suddenly realized, oh my goodness, we're on our street. oh
Really?
my goodness, this is
Oh my.
our house that we're
Oh, wow.
passing by. And
I
it was
didn't even know that.
It was just the reality of that, like, this is rooted in
Right.
all of our lives.
Right.
All of our neighborhoods have histories. And do we know those histories?
Yeah.
I recently heard a pastor say, I'm not blaming, I'm not shaming, but I am naming. And I think it's so
Ooh.
important to just name the history, and then
Yes.
how do we work forward from here? So,
Yeah. Call it out for what it really is.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there, I started just exploring my own neighborhood, and I actually brought this big title.
Oh,
This
very
is the
cool.
original
Wow.
title from my house.
Is that right?
1920,
I
actually.
wondered what
thing?
that was when you
Yes,
brought it in.
it's the
Oh,
title,
my
the whole
goodness.
history.
I thought maybe
actually.
you were sketching things as an
No,
artist.
so the
but-
documentation actually goes back to the 1800s on
goodness.
the property there. But J.C.
Wow.
Nichols developed
Yeah.
our neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's the Crestwood neighborhood. We live off of 55th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what you'll learn about in the Dividing Lines tour is these racially restricted deeds and covenants.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to find those restrictions in the
Wow.
original deed of our house, right? Which these were in place until like 1968 when the Housing Act went into place, right? And so that's not that long ago,
Right,
really. And
right.
so when we look around our neighborhood, like, what are the impacts
Right.
of that? And we didn't know anything about that before we moved into our neighborhood. What we did know, and we looked this up ahead of time, our neighborhood is part of the 4963 Neighborhood Coalition,
Okay.
which is the only coalition that crosses over the Troost divide.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So there has been work
I didn't know
done.
any of them
yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
The truth
Right?
divide.
It's that one. And we
Wow.
we knew we were moving
Interesting.
into that.
Yeah.
But until we were on the Dividing Lines tour
Yeah.
and driving past our house, we had no idea
This
Yeah.
is
the
fascinating.
depth. And so, nor did I
goodness.
ever read this giant book that was in the cabinet.
How
in
did
my
you even
house.
get that? How do
The
people?
previous owner left it behind, and I just
Wow.
found it in a cabinet.
That's crazy.
You know, so it's pretty.
I think you
pretty
were
interesting.
divinely meant
It
to
was
find
meant
that.
to be.
I guess so. I guess
Yeah.
so. But yeah, how do you steward
Yeah.
that information, that knowledge? And all of our neighborhoods have history,
Right.
right? And what I love about the Dividing Lines tour, so it begins with this statement: the whole world needs help, but you can't start with the whole world. You can start with your neighborhood.
Right.
And it ends
Right.
with that statement too. That's like the beginning
That's
of the
right.
tour and the end of the tour. And we just felt like, let's start with our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't design the tour. I'm not the expert on the tour,
Right.
but anytime I can invite people to take the tour with me,
Yes.
I will do that.
Now, we've adapted it a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
start with like what it is if you were just a person who wanted to take it,
Mm-hmm.
playing the recording over your car
Sure.
versus how we've adapted it and the difference.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways that you can do it. There's a driving tour, and so there's this voice map that
Right.
will guide you through the neighborhoods, and it'll talk to you along the way, which is really great. You can get the app on your phone, and you can go.
And it's called voice map.
Voice map is what it's called. And this tour was developed by the Kansas City Public Library.
Right.
I should mention that too. There's another option where there's videos on the website, and so you can watch the videos, and you don't even have to leave your house to
Right,
experience
right.
the
That's true.
tour. But we in the Evangelical Covenant Church, our denomination, where I serve as the missiologist and director of church planting, but we do think that it is so important to seek racial
Yes,
righteousness,
yes.
seek harmony. We see,
Absolutely.
God's kingdom come, God's will be done here on earth, and that's a multi-ethnic mosaic. And so we like to do immersion experiences, and so we've kind of adapted the Dividing Lines tour into an immersion experience. And so many different ways to do it, but we've you hop on the bus and you do
Yeah.
the tour, but we also have stops along the way. So you can meet with neighbors, you can hear with local practitioners who are serving their community even today, bringing unity, harmony to their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So
You know, Lexi, this may be a difficult subject, but it's one that Gary faces a little bit more, and I actually sometimes have to come to the defense of the people in Unite KC who are white, because there's this assumption that, well, you don't know anything, and what would you know? And I'm just telling you all, these are the two of the most knowledgeable people on history, the history of Kansas City, Black history, and they are not only could speak to the issues, but they could advocate And so how do you deal with, kind of like that pushback, or people kind of, you can feel it, the pushback that you might get from people who are minorities. How do you deal with that?
I think from the beginning, this needs to be about relationship, right? So we should be doing this together, exploring together, listening to each other's voices in the process, hearing the history, hearing the perspective of others. And that is, it's not easy always to wrestle through what has been hurtful in the past. And so it is not my prerogative to come in and, tell other people's history or, try to lead the way. I'm just trying to link arms and bring awareness to the stories that are around me, bring awareness to injustice around me, because I think love, mercy, do justice, walk humbly is what we're invited to do in Scripture. That is what the call is. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And if I've stepped on toes, then I need to step into humility and say, I'm sorry. How can we do this better together?
Yeah.
That's good.
We always step on toes.
Yeah.
Always.
Like we don't mean to, but it happens. It's part of if you wade into it, then you're going to find that this happens.
Yeah.
Lexi, one of the things that I really enjoy the fact that the way that you did it involved all of the different ways you mentioned. So there was video. We watched video.
Yeah.
We listened to recording, and we also did the immersion part. Tell about the stops we made, because I thought the stops were just gold along the way.
Yeah, so we decided to, this last time around, make a stop in the Marlborough neighborhood. So we have a member of our team who actually lives and works out of the Marlborough neighborhood, and that neighborhood association is just really active and seeking the good of their neighbors there. And so while the Marlborough neighborhood is not specifically on the Dividing Lines tour, it is on the Mapping and Equity Project maps.
And it's a great
information
illustration.
there. Right, and it's just off the tour. So we were able to stop there, hear from community leaders, hear how people are active even today. And then we made another quick stop at the 18th and Vine District. And what a wealth of history in the 18th and Vine District. So many opportunities to stop and talk to people if you have enough time to do it. And we've done that in the past too.
Right.
So.
And Melvin Cole's place, we stopped by Freedom Fire.
We did, yeah.
And walked by a coffee house that was in a neighborhood. And
that's the Marlborough neighborhood.
That's the Marlborough neighborhood. So it gives you a chance to kind of experience some of these places.
Yeah.
Like boots on the ground, you're actually there. You're hearing the voices. You're with the people. And I thought it was just really, really meaningful.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we stopped and sat around tables and talked, which our table was very, everybody at the table was participating in the conversation afterwards. I felt like that could have even gone longer.
Oh,
the interest was very high. I heard people saying things like, I never knew. Like, oh my, I'm so grieved. Like I heard lots of people say, I just wanted, I just felt like I was going to cry all the way through. I think the hardest part for me was that just to understand how a lot of the racism is systemic in nature. And, it's intentional because we like to think that we're not doing things today that perpetuate that. And maybe we're not intentionally, but some of the things, just the way the systems are set up, actually are still in place today. Not to the degree that they were. But I think there's something for all of us to do. And that really was the question I kept asking. Okay, what can I do today? I'm just one person, but what can I do today to try to actually see behind the systems and the inequities? And then if I actually see them, how do I advocate for something better?
And Gary has just mentioned a couple of trigger words, and we had a podcast on that.
Yeah, we did.
But if you're listening, and please don't go yet because of what Gary just said, because the one thing that I really want to stress is that this tour is educational, and that is its intent, is to be educational. And so even though we're all human and we feel some kind of way, and I can tell you that most of the people who are Black or who are Hispanic or who are minorities, when they get educated on a tour like this, they start to feel a little bit angry because they didn't know it. And they knew there's injustice, but then now I see that the people who are talking on the tour and narrating are people who knew the architect of the systemic racism And so they basically get a little angry. And on the other side, people who may be white or who are non-minorities, they feel a little, like you said, they feel outraged, ashamed, saddened. And some of them feel like that they need to apologize. And the thing is that both positions are really not right. It's intended to, now if you were one of the architects, yeah, we want to have you stand up and apologize to everybody. But mostly just the acknowledgement. It's so important to get an understanding, and that way, you know, both people, everybody knows how to move forward when we have the facts and stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, you do, I think it was the most insight. I would encourage everybody to, the next time we offer it, which you'll see it on our website, sign up and take the tour. It's really good.
And I do think that the guy who does the narration, I don't think he was slanted in any way, negative way. He did a really good job, I felt like, of trying to just lay out the facts. You know, this is what banks did. This is what neighborhood associations did. This is what architects did. You know, he didn't say it in a slanted way. He was just laying out the facts.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves.
Right. Yeah. And it's, again, we're not blaming, we're not shaming.
Right.
We're just naming.
Yeah.
And we're also playing the long game. Like relationships are built over time. Healing happens over time, and it's in progress. And there's something that we can all do in our own neighborhoods to love our neighbors well. Right?
Yeah, very true. I was talking to someone this week about the kingdom of heaven. And I think that really what God desires for all of his people, for all of culture, for all the earth, is that the kingdom of heaven would come, that earth would become more like heaven. I think was what Jesus was praying in the Lord's Prayer as he's teaching us, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I think he's actually saying, may earth become more like heaven, where there's, where there's love, where there's no evil, all the things of the kingdom of heaven. But we were having this conversation about what do we do as Christians and how hard it is to actually be advocates to bring the kingdom of heaven when there's division, when there's, wars or potential wars, when there's, the kinds of sexuality that's just everywhere. And I said to this person, and I never thought this out before I actually said it, but it feels to me that the kingdom of heaven coming on earth is much more like the sun rising. I think it's eventual. It's happening. It's going to come. But the sun comes up rather slowly. I mean, I prefer to go like flip a switch. Boom, lights off. Now it's on. Yay, it's all light. But it's much more like a sunrise. And we're participating. We see it growing. I believe it will continue to grow. But it rises kind of slowly. And so it's our privilege to point out a sunrise. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Like, I love what's happening here. Look, the sky's more pink now. Oh, there's a purple. Oh, like it's yellow. It's brighter. And I think we can call those things out. But we're participating in the gospel turning the world from darkness to light. And it takes time.
Yeah.
So, Lexi, and I want you to speak to this. At Unite KC, even though we are faith-based, we encourage everybody to go on this journey with us when it comes to fighting injustice and inequality and racism and actually participate in loving your neighbor. But we're not requiring that you believe these two people are pastors. And, I'm not. So pray for me or whatever, but
there is a priesthood of all believers.
So. I do agree with the priesthood of all
there
believers.
You go. So here we go. They're trying to get me in, but the one thing that's really important is that I want you to understand that this tour is not just for believers or Christians and stuff. And you're not going to find a group of people that loves across every spectrum of humanity more than we do at Unite KC. And so, Lexi, is this tour just, is there any religious stuff sprinkled in it, or can you tell us about, without giving it all away, can you tell us about some of the highlights that are on the tour and what it's comprised of?
First, I would say we mentioned the Kansas City Public Library put together the audio tour.
There you
right?
go.
Right.
So there's no
There's
religious elements in there.
Right.
Now, there could be speakers along the way who speak about their faith because we are called to love our neighbors as ourselves in the faith community, and we ought to be doing that well. I think it's interesting. This tour, it goes from Kansas to Missouri.
Right.
So we're crossing, the state divide. We're visiting affluent neighborhoods. We're visiting neighborhoods that are struggling to make ends meet. We get to go to the 18th and Vine District. You go downtown a little bit. We pass schools. We pass homes. Walt Disney's former house is on the tour. There's just so many cool places that you're like, maybe even if you lived in Kansas City your whole life, you're like, I never knew this was here. Or I never saw this.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a great opportunity to explore your city. And even if you're not faith-based, if you want to love your neighbor well, this is an opportunity for you to take a step towards loving your neighbor better, because we know some of the history of the neighborhood.
That is definitely one of the outcomes that a lot of people mention, is that they suddenly find the courage that, hey, there are people in my own neighborhood that I got the courage to go ahead and say hi. And you just kind of, because the other thing that's a byproduct of going on it is that there's people from all walks of life that go on the tour.
Right.
And so you kind of get a little taste of rubbing shoulders with different people, and then you get the chance to talk and have a meal afterwards. And that kind of loosens you up a little bit more too.
I want to bring my grandkids. 13, 15, 16. I think they would really get a lot out of it.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's just a wonderful experience, and we're so glad that you're on the team doing this. So
I love working with you both.
Yeah. So you mentioned a little bit. I mean, first of all, so this is two parts. Tell us anything else you want us to know, or you want the listening audience to know about the Dividing Lines tour and about covenants or anything like that. But also tell us a little bit about the work that you do. I mean, that's a big title, missiologist, and you're kind of like a bishop in your thing. I know I'm getting in trouble, and I'm going to take some shots afterwards, but I mean, it's just very interesting work to me. And the fact that you're also this isn't just a tour. You actually incorporate, as you mentioned earlier, the whole thing about racial healing, racial reconciliation, loving your neighbor into what you do.
So the Great Commission, the Great Commandment, that is part of what we are all called to do, and I see this falling under that for sure. In terms of the Dividing Lines tour, I mean, Unite KC, we aim to offer it a couple times a year, but you don't have to wait for us to offer it. So if you have a group of friends, or just you want to take an hour and a half, I think is what the tour is, if you don't add in extra discussions or stops like we do, go on the tour. Grab a Saturday and go out and see the city and learn. And then I would say, if you do it on your own, find some people to talk to about it, because you're going to want to process what happens after that. What's the next step after I've learned about this great city that we live in. And then in terms of like missiology, people often say like, what is a missiologist? And really what it means is I help churches engage in mission. And so this Dividing Lines tour does fall under that.
There you go.
What is the mission of the church? To see God's kingdom come, God's will being done here on earth. And so I think this is a wonderful opportunity to engage in that. Coming together in unity with churches around the city, which we get to do in Unite KC, also falls under part of my responsibility. And director of church planting, I mean, best job ever. Gary's a church planter too. I get to plant churches and help people plant churches. Like, best job ever. So you want to plant a church, by the by.
I'm sorry. I'm the heathen in the bunch. It sounds scary to me. It sounds hard, but at any rate.
Dependent on the Holy Spirit.
There you go. Well, I'm going to hog one more question out of Lexi, and then I'll give back. Yeah. So Lexi, now we didn't, the first year at Unite KC, we actually literally said, we're just going to throw stuff up against the wall and see what sticks. We didn't know. We just knew we had a heart for the city and for unity. And we wanted to not have a city that erupted in violence and that would do certain things that would harm other people. So we just tried everything. We did this, we did this. And so we didn't know anything about the Dividing Lines tour when we got started. What attracted you to be a part of Unite KC in the first place?
I mean, Unite KC. I feel like that itself is compelling to come together with people who really care about our city, to connect on issues of importance to us all. I was interested in nonprofits coming together and churches coming together and, arts organizations coming together. And how do we address the arts deserts around Kansas City? There was a sports emphasis and, there's so much activity, just bringing people together. And that's what we need. We're not really living in a divided world. We're living in a fractured world right now. And so how do we bring people together in unity to seek the good of our neighbor? If somebody's interested in that, I'm there. Let's do it.
Well, we appreciate, you, like I said, it's not just our meetings, which, who wants to come to another meeting, but you do it. But it's also the gatherings and the events that we have. We see you there all the time. And so it's just a pleasure to have you on the team.
Grateful for you guys.
Yeah. I always feel a kindred spirit when we're together. I do want you to talk about one more thing that I really like about what you do. And that's the work you do with Exponential, Alan Hirsch, and others, because it takes what you're doing to a national level, and you have an important part in it. So talk a little bit about that. You might not bring that up if I didn't ask you, but I will ask you.
I think my work is very minimal in that.
Oh, I don't think so.
I have the privilege of just supporting Exponential in some of their communications work. So I serve as an editor for Exponential Next, which is just a wonderful resource for churches, ministry leaders, Jesus followers, really around the world to read on current topics, what's happening in faith and church and entrepreneurial work. And so that's just a privilege and an honor. And Movement Leaders Collective with Alan Hirsch is just connecting whether with faith leaders or entrepreneurs around the world that are looking at how do we do church in fresh ways.
Yes.
And I'm all for that.
Can you say it as he would say it?
How would he say it?
Oh, well, with his accent.
I can't. With an Australian accent. I don't want to insult anyone.
No. I'm joking. I have a hard time keeping up. His mental brain power is
he's a genius.
Yes,
next level.
He's so over the top. It's go a little slower.
A couple hours later, it's
I like what you're saying, but I can't quite process it fast enough.
Genius.
He must have a very marked accent.
It's distinctive.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
if you can't do his impression, I can do Muhammad Ali impression. But I'm not going to.
Okay. Here we go. You started it.
I did. I don't know where it went. But anyway, I do appreciate that work. And I would say Alan Hirsch is ahead of his time. He's 5 or 10 years ahead. Yeah. But I do love the way that I think his experience in other parts of the world is important to us in the U.S. because I feel like that they're experiencing some of the deconstruction of faith that we're starting to experience now in the U.S. And I feel like he's speaking to it so pointedly. I really love the way he is so consistent on the idea. He doesn't always use the word neighboring, but he's basically talking about loving our neighbor and the way we live as witnesses, and we become the salt and light into the world. Yeah. And then as we do that, then that's the best testimony that we have. And he just says it in such plain, good ways, but I do have to think about it and go, yeah, you're right.
And speaking of ministry of the believer, we're all the church. It's not just the pastors. We are all the church and all have a role to play.
Yes. So thank you for being on the leading edge.
Yes. Yeah.
And thank you for being a part of our podcast today. We really enjoyed it. You should come back again.
This is fun.
Yeah, we can talk about other stuff. So it'll be fun.
Deal.
Well, Gary, this is time for you to do your big dismount.
Okay, and I'll get the Muhammad Ali accent afterwards. So at the end of our podcast, we always just remind you, if you've enjoyed this, please pass it on to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't yet, liked or subscribed, please do that now. And then think of 2 or 3 people you could share this podcast with. And from there, I would encourage you, don't wait, have your own conversations too. We're talking about things that you can talk about around the table. You can talk about around the water cooler. You can talk about with friends and your neighbors. And as we do that, I think it's just going to maybe more normalize the fact that we can talk about difficult things and still love beyond the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your word, we're not as divided as we are fractured. So thank you, Lexi, and thank you for joining today.
All right. And don't forget, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, our website. Did I leave anything out?
You did good.
Man, so just hit us up and subscribe and tell all your friends, and we'll see you next time on Courageous Conversations. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Courageous Conversations.
We hope you heard something that encourages you to start these conversations in your own life.
Because when we talk, listen, and learn together, we move closer to uniting people, uniting neighborhoods, and uniting KC.
And don't forget, you can find more stories, events, and resources at unitekc.org.
So until next time, go love your neighbors at all costs.